Align fam. Your dream life is inevitable, but only if you avoid these goal setting blind spots. So, today we're going to discuss four blind spots when it comes to goal setting, manifesting, which is basically, in my opinion, having an action plan towards a specific desire or goal. And these four blind spots is based on experience as well as quantum physics. So, little bit of fun story. I used to hate physics. It was my least favorite topic. My brain just doesn't work that way. And I remember senior year, I thought, let me just take high school. Let me take all the hardest classes. Let me be Miss Overachiever and also be able to place out of certain classes so I don't have to ever take it again in the future. So I took AP Physics BC. For those of you who are not familiar, AP stands for Advanced Placement. And for a lot of colleges, well, at least back in the day, I haven't checked. If you take these courses and you get a 4 or a 5 out of 5, you basically can place out of these, taking these electives or these foundational classes when you go into college. So I took AP Physics BC, which is the hardest physics level to take. I had no business doing it, and I freaking hated it so much. And my teacher at the time, if he's watching, he's incredible. He was amazing. He made the most fun. And the class that we had was a very intimate class, maybe like 12 to 15 people. And it was always fun to go, but I just never understood the concepts to the point where I would study, do the whole, goody Asian thing. And at the AP exam, I literally wrote out for certain answers for the prompts. I wrote out, I have no idea how to do this, but here are all the formulas I memorized. And so I just wrote out all the formulas, hoping I would get some points. I have no idea how I got a 4 out of 5. So thankfully, I placed out of it and I didn't ever have to take a physics class again in college. But I would say in the last couple of years, I've just been from the executive coaching side, from helping clients, and also just doing my own research, which I just spend a lot of time doing on a monthly basis. I was just more drawn to quantum physics again because I've noticed so much of my life experience, so much of my clients' life experience was really based on what we've learned in quantum physics. So, just a little funny story how it all ties back. The things that you hate the most sometimes when you're younger, you never understand, like, why is it in my life? I have to learn it. But it all kind of started to make sense. And everything I've learned in high school actually is now marinating and showing up in my life. So, for those of you kind of going through, why am I learning this? Why is this in my life? It may not make sense at the current moment, but I promise you, if it's in your life, it's here to teach you something. It'll make sense in the future. So, a little bit of funny story there. But for those of you that really want to align with your dream life and desire so they come into fruition, these are all the things that we're going to discuss today and more at the Elite Circle, especially the intuitive edge track. So if you'd like to learn more about making smart decisions and making them faster, click the link below. I'm going to drop in more information about it, but it's also how to unlock the codes of the universe and of quantum physics to your advantage. With that said, let's dive into these four blind spots. So first is the most important one, and this just kind of like blew my mind once it really resonated and marinated with me. There's a huge difference between knowing and trusting or believing, right? There's knowing and then trusting or believing. Now, our world is just made up of energy. Everything you see, you and I right now, we're just all balls of energy. So we're all just little atoms made out of, which is all these atoms put together becomes a mass of a living, breathing thing or an entity, right? And the collective energy is called the quantum field. So think of like the quantum field, you have to visually, because I'm a more visual person, think of like a 3D sphere or graph paper. And on that sphere, on those lines, right, those 3D lines, there's little balls. And those little balls are just balls of energy. And this quantum field spreads throughout this entire world. And even though this field is invisible, you can't actually see it. It's fundamental in making up our reality and what we experience, okay? Now, you get different results and based on from the energy field, based on the frequency that you tune into. So what do I mean by that, right? So there's this field of balls of energy. Think of it as a radio station, right? So when you dial a radio station, back in the day you can tune into it and now you just click buttons, but there are so many radio stations of so many types of music, so many types of topics, right? And you select or you tune into the frequency or tune into the music you actually like to enjoy listening to. Same thing as reality. So, per quantum physics, there's all types of this infinite possibility happening at every moment, right? If you chose this decision versus that decision, all of it is kind of like all laid out. And based on what you tune into or what you choose, that becomes the reality you experience. So, just like you're tuning into a radio station and you get a certain type of music, your frequency, the way you show up, whether you're being a positive, abundant person, whether you're being fearful or negative, the way that you show up with your energy determines your reality and your life experiences. Okay. And again, you can always choose a different reality, but it's based on the energy you give off, not just like you wanting it, right? It's like you're giving off the energy that aligns with that radio station or aligns with that specific outcome. And that's what you actually experience. Now, whatever you experience in life, you will believe is truth until it hardens into knowledge, right? So, for example, you've experienced the sun come up every single day. So now you just know that the sun will come up every single day, right? And your reality forms around what you know to be true, right? Now, this is the problem with goal setting, manifesting. When you're trying to obtain this desire or thing, it's probably because you don't currently have it, right? Or most likely, you've never had it. So, what you do is, as you work towards the thing that you want, for those of you who are listening, are definitely very action oriented, type A, high achievers. As you work towards it, your energy you're giving off is like you're hoping for it, right? You're believing it's coming, you're trusting for it, you're wishing for it, right? The problem is wishing, hoping, believing, trusting are not solid terms, okay? They exist because the opposite exists, which is doubt. So the opposite of wishing and hoping is doubt. The opposite of believing and trusting is also doubt, right? Action itself is not enough because again, everything's based on energy. There's this energy field, right? The frequency or the emotion, think of it as emotion is just energy in motion. So the frequency, your emotion that you embody either aligns and accelerates you towards the thing that you want, or it slows down the process. Now, not the opposite, the more powerful and productive force or energy emotion is knowing. Because knowing is cellular, it's fact, it's solid. There's no, it's either you know or you don't know, right? There's no hoping, wishing, wanting. When you know something, it's cellular, it's factual to you. And when you know something, say like, I know I'm driven, right? I know that about myself. I then fully embody those traits, the mindsets, the actions, and therefore the results of a very driven person. For example, when you know you're successful, and that you will be successful, you just go for it, right? You don't let your doubts or fears handicap you. Not that you don't have doubts or fears, but you don't let it handicap you. You don't let it stop you. You don't let any other people's criticism or no's deter you from going for what you want because you know you're successful. You know you will be successful. So everything that does not align with your identity or what you believe is true, which is you're successful, you will dump it. You won't look at it, you won't give it any attention. And so when you know you're successful, you are also probably going with excitement toward the thing because you know you're going to win, right? You're probably much more open. You see everything that happens to you as an opportunity. When you get a random call, you don't think it's, oh, who's this random call, bothering me? You think, like maybe this is a potential new client. Maybe this is a new opportunity for me. You're much more open when you know that you're successful. So when you keep going towards excitement, openness, joy until you see the results, that's someone who embodies and knows that they're a successful person. Let me tell you a funny story. Today's funny story day. So when I was younger, maybe, I don't know, ages 6 to 8. I don't know why everything feels like happens when I was 6 to 8. When I was like 6 to 8, I have loving parents and an incredible sister and just a loving core family, my grandparents. And everyone would say to me that like, oh, you're so cute, you're so pretty. And I genuinely believed to the point where I knew I was so cute and so pretty, right? I would walk around thinking I was like the cutest thing. I would walk around with so much confidence. I just knew I was cute. So I lived a very beautiful childhood. Well, at least at home, I was bullied when I was I was a bully in grade school. Yeah, I was bullied in high school. So maybe in grade school, I wasn't so much bullied. Yeah. So I had lived this beautiful, amazing like childhood. And it was because I just believe, like my parents always said to me, and I totally believed, like I was cute, I was smart, I could, do whatever I wanted in life. And I look back at photos. I was maybe like in my 20s when I look back in photos, and I was like, and when I was 6 to 8, and I was like, oh my God, I was so not cute. I was really not attractive. Like, not even like, when some babies are like kind of ugly, therefore they look cute. I wasn't even like ugly cute. I was just so not cute. But it's so fascinating how, because I believed that, people would tell that to me, and I knew that about myself. I just lived the life of a very cute, beautiful little girl, even though I personally I look back now and I'm like, absolutely not, right? So it's just so funny and interesting. It's like when you embody a certain identity and you know that about yourself, what kind of life you can experience, right? Versus I know so many people close to me who like never felt they were beautiful, never thought they were attractive. And objectively speaking, well, beauty is subjective, but majority people would consider them beautiful, but they don't have those life experiences because they don't see themselves as that, right? So it's just like the power of knowing who you are and then embodying that version of you to have the life of someone with those specific traits. Now, number 2, that's the difference. We just went over the difference between knowing versus believing and trusting. Number 2, constantly seeking external validation versus moving with your inner knowing. Okay. Now, let me be clear. You really have to know and listen to your inner guidance, your ultimate truth, to really have this inner knowing. You need to have a really clear relationship with like your inner guidance and your heart's desires, right? But once you tune into your heart and your spirit, that is your guidance. Like that is your compass. Nothing else in the outside world is more clear and potent of why you're here and what you're supposed to do and your purpose on earth and what makes you happy than this heart of yours. It's given to you, specifically to you, right? And so I understand not everyone understands how to tune in. So I'll share a clip below that I did an exercise with the Los Angeles Tribune about really listening to your heart and listening and tuning into your inner desires. So I'll drop that in. But when you know something is fact, okay, you don't wait for external approval before you move, right? You just move, think, and do when you just know, right? So let's talk about the difference between seeking validation, external validation, and knowing. Say you're pitching a new client, okay? And you say to them, like, hope to have you, like, will you be signing up? And you're constantly thinking like, oh my God, are they going to sign on? Oh my God. Or you're so focused on like their approval or whether or not they're going to sign up, right? Now, versus if you said to them instead, I'd love to have you, you'd be a great fit. I think you'd gain so much peace and clarity from this experience, okay? What do you think feels stronger? Will you come like the wishy-washy, the hoping, or like the knowing? Like you know that you created a service or a product that this person could benefit from, and you're excited and happy to share it. What do you think if you were the potential client? What would you be more drawn to? The certainty or the uncertainty, right? Probably the certainty. And if this one client doesn't sign up, you're not going to be like, oh my God, I'm a failure. See, things never work. You just think, okay, not aligned for them. It'll take them time to catch up. Eventually they'll understand it, but this just means this seat is meant for someone that's more aligned. You just keep it moving. You do not, when you know in your heart that you created something incredible, you don't get stuck up on like the minutia and the detail. And you don't get stuck on like one no, three no, 10 no's. You just keep going because you ultimately know this product's meant to help people, and you ultimately know you're going to be successful. Okay. That's how like the difference between you're waiting for external proof, you're waiting for people to sign up versus you just know it's gonna be an incredible product, people will sign up, and you just keep going until you see those results. Now, when you know your desires are sacred and that they're given specifically to you so that you can experience them, you move very confidently towards them because you know you're gonna have it, you know you're meant to experience it, you know this is your assignment, right? Because when you want something, per quantum physics, you become quantumly entangled with it. Meaning, when you want something, there's like this invisible string or energy core between you and the desire that it already entangles you in this universe. And what happens is your frequency will either help make this entanglement come together faster, like your desires faster, or it pushes it away, right? So this quantum entanglement actually transcends time and space, meaning time and space is not really a determinant or a factor. Things can happen really quickly, and it can happen no matter how far a distance you are. I'll give you an example. How many times it happens to everyone where you've thought of someone, maybe you haven't spoken to a while, right? And they text you. Or you're thinking of someone and then on the street or at the gym, you run into them, right? That's an example of quantum entanglement. It's you're thinking about this person, maybe you're wanting to reconnect with them, and they feel it because you're actually entangled. And then the universe rearranges itself so that you can be in contact, or someone reaches out, someone gets a ping, or you actually see them in person. All right. And that doesn't matter if it's someone like, for example, far across the globe. Someone might live in London, they ping you out of nowhere, right? I'm sure it happened. It's happened to me so many times. I'm sure it's happened to everyone listening to this episode. It just shows you the power of when you desire something, you want something without being so attached to it, like constantly checking for evidence and validation and proof of it. They oftentimes end up reaching out to you, or you somehow see them out, or you somehow hear the name in a group setting. And that's the beauty of trusting that when you're given a desire, you are meant to experience it, and you need to not only believe that but know that in order to call it in. Now let's talk about the third thing that is a bit of a blind side: micromanaging the process versus focusing on the ultimate goal. So I have been so guilty of this because I know that I will have what I desire. I just really believe that if I want something and with purity and good intention, I'm going to have it. I also then expect the entire journey there to look like exactly the way I envisioned it. So I will freak out when at every step of the way, things don't go exactly my way. And I become so caught up, like, it's not working. Like, this specific detail, this specific person, this specific time didn't work out the exact way that I envisioned it in my mind. Like, therefore, like, it's not working, right? The problem is, especially per quantum physics, the more rigid you are with the how it's coming to you and when it's coming to you, the less control you have on that desired thing's delivery. So more that you micromanage the how and the when, the slower the thing actually comes to you. Just, you need to want it, know it, act towards it, and allow it to come in. Focus clearly on the end results, like have very specifics of what the end result will be, and constantly think towards it. Feel it as it's real, like feel like the end goal as like it's already happened in your body, because your body can't tell the difference between, it really can't tell the difference between a real life experience versus something you made out in your head. That's why sometimes dreams, or when you go to worst case scenarios, you actually have like a visceral reaction in your body, because your body thinks you're actually going through it. So you want to train your nervous system, and you want to train your brain to be so comfortable with the end goal and what it feels like, So you're constantly being pointed to that thing. You're constantly focused and looking for that thing that you ultimately want. And again, without any attachment or how and when it's coming, just on the end goal. So give you an example. For the Atlanta experience, I've done 7 now, right? I've historically always freaked out about the number of people there, right? I have a specific number that I want to meet or more, and I'm always freaking out about it. And but in reality, and I think back, especially for the last event, if it was even 2 or 3 more people, it would be so overwhelming or like big where people wouldn't feel comfortable sharing openly. And the 7th experience that we recently just had, it was the best one because people were the most open and vulnerable and they bonded. And every person actually got at least 3 people they want to meet out of it. In fact, 95% to 100% of my events, of the guests that come, they meet at least 3 people they want to continue building something more deeper or genuine, whether it's a business relationship, a friendship, or a potential love relationship together. That I have to constantly, I remind myself, it's like, Jess, it's really stop being so focused on the number. You got to be more focused on the right people in the room. And like the ultimate reason why I'm doing this is to help people heal, help people get clarity, and show people that genuine relationships exist. And that's always been the outcome of every experience. And so now I'm like, I let go, let God. And I just remind myself every person that's meant to be in that room is in that room. And everything they're looking for, the seeds are already in that room. And to trust that, right? Not be so stuck on that specific number. And just focusing on the impact and the ultimate goal is, again, reminding myself why I do all this. It's not about the number of people. In fact, I've said no, and because I want to preserve the quality of the event and the attendees and the chemistry of the people, I say no a lot. And it's not saying people are not good enough. It's just if you're not ready to be open and vulnerable and share in this very genuine space and you're more transactional, one bad egg will really ruin the dynamic. So I'd rather have 10 less people than my target number, knowing that everyone there is aligned and genuine and supposed to be there. Right. The other thing about the line experience is I historically do my talks like I'm giving a motivational speech, right? And it's very rehearsed, very like professional. And I don't memorize things. I've never been like that because I feel like it's too robotic, but I have my points always specific down to the T. I run through it maybe 7 to 10 times to the point where it's like bump, 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 bump. That it's like, okay, like I've gotten feedback like, oh wow, it was so professional, it was so well done. But like I don't know if I really got to the heart of people, right? Because the whole point of the light experience is like get to the heart of people so that I unlock something in you and I inspire you to see like the highest version of you and your dream life. And I want you to hold on to that for as long as possible because that becomes like your compass, your North Star. So for this 7-to-1 experience, I was like, you know what? I'm going to just be more in flow. I have my points I want to say, but I wanted to make it even more interactive. And so my points, my delivery, the way I said things actually changed as people were sharing. So as I gave a prompt and someone shared, I would actually tie that prompt back into the day. Kind of like a comedy club, right? When you kind of play off the audience. I was playing much more of the audience. And for the people who come to many of my events, they all said this was their favorite one. And it comes down to, because I create the experience and I'm also leading the energy, when I'm much more in flow and I'm much more focused on, are you feeling me? Are you hearing the message? Are you experiencing it in your body, right? When I cared more about other people's experience than my delivery and focus on every word being perfect, that's when the magic truly happened, right? So I really encourage you. I think about even when I, do pitches, whether it's for like fundraising pitches or even like for like coaching clients, it's never so focused on I have to say the exact thing, right? Versus how you say it. So I encourage all of you to be really focused on like what is the end goal of anything that you do, right? Any meeting, any date, anything you do. What is your end goal? What is your intention? And then be more flexible about the process there, because you'd be surprised by how much more beauty and goodness your brain, your body can experience when you let go and you allow better ideas to come through because you're present. And lastly, this is a similar-ish topic, but slightly nuanced. The last thing I would highlight is focusing on the gap versus enjoying the journey. Trust me, as a hyper results oriented type plus A person, I'm so focused on the end goal. And everything I do is always focused on the end goal. But I've learned that when you're constantly measuring the distance between where you are and where you want to be, I just keep seeing the gap because I'm always like, okay, I'm here and I want to be here. All I see is the gap instead of like how I'm growing towards the thing. So, for example, whenever, for example, we raise money and my team has raised $500 million, right? I would think, damn, we still have 500 million more to go to get to $1 billion cap. Or times we're at 950, I'll think to myself, oh my God, we still have 50 million to go. Who are we going to go to we're closing in a month, right? So it's like I'm constantly historically focused on what I don't have and the gap instead of how much progress that I've created. So the reason why that doesn't work is what you focus on becomes your life. So if you focus on the gap, you're giving energy to the gap just keeps growing. It looks larger than it actually is, right? Versus if you focus on the progress, you're going to see how much more closer you're actually getting to that $1 billion mark or whatever your end goal is. Now I think at every step, every dollar, every progress towards it, I see the growth instead of the lack. And that completely opens up of like, who else I can reach out to, who else would be aligned for this strategy. And it makes me more abundant mindset and less like desperate mindset versus struggling and thinking and hoping and wishing instead of knowing that I'm going to get it done. Per quantum physics, observed particles actually move slower. So if you're constantly checking for it, you're actually slowing the progress down. So solution, stop checking for it. Just keep going, but stop checking for it. When you give attention from doubt and constantly, stressing and checking for it, you're slowing down the process of converting a wave, which is just pure potential, into a particle, which is the solid form that you actually see, right? You're constantly letting things float around and not letting them solidify into the thing that you actually want. So instead of giving intention to, oh my God, what I don't have, give attention to the end goal and give the attention of what it feels like, the excitement, the anticipation of it, and having gratitude for it. It's how you're going to pull it in closer. This frequency of gratitude is literally like the key for miracles. Like even if you get like, say you get a new client, it's even if it's only like a $50 bump, $100 bump, be so thankful for every little thing you get because the universe truly grants and gives back to a grateful heart. So why would the universe give you more if you don't appreciate what you already have? Or you don't even appreciate the little things that already grants to you, right? So be grateful for every step along the way. That's how you're going to magnify more of the blessings and actually make your process towards your goal much smoother. Enjoying the journey is so important because your frequency and the energy you give off either attracts or repels the miracles, the support that you want. Your emotions, which is just energy in motion, or also known as your frequency, shifts where you are in the quantum field. So if you're vibrating high, if you're being grateful, if you're being abundant and minded, you're actually going to be driven closer to the ultimate thing you want. And if you are ungrateful and you're always doubting and checking, you're actually creating more distance and you push yourself back in the quantum field from the thing that you actually want. So when you're enjoying the journey, you're having fun, you're high energy, and you're just so thankful for what you have, the universe will want to reward you and pull you towards closer to the thing that you actually enjoying the journey is so important because your frequency and the energy you give off either attracts or repels the miracles, the support that you want. Your dream life is closer than you think, but only if you master alignment. I know these ideas will unlock another mindset at another level for you so you can really experience those goals and those dreams and that ultimate dream life that you actually want. To learn more about achieving and living in your dream life by understanding the laws of the universe, understanding quantum physics and what actually works, join us this November for the Lead Circle, where we dive much more deeper into these topics. And it's just an intimate group of 10 people per track. So you can really get a personalized understanding of where you're at, where you want to be, what are the blocks holding you back, and really get to bond with each other and learn from each other in this safe space, in this luxurious space, but most importantly, in a safe space where you can be vulnerable, be held, be supported, and enjoy a judgment-free zone where you get to be fully yourself and experience what it's like when you're in complete and full alignment. So until then, soak in all these ideas, soak in all the topics, apply them. I would love to hear how these 4 concepts change and upgrade your reality. And please let me know how things work out for you because I just love hearing your stories. I love hearing when things click and things work because you deserve to live your dream life. And there's nothing holding you back besides your doubts, your fears. So go for it.